Digging the Panama Canal was an agonizing battle against the Earth. Workers spent years carving through millions of tons of mud and rock using steam shovels and dynamite, fighting an inch-by-inch war against the jungle. But in the 1960s, the U.S. government drafted a classified blueprint to upgrade the route instantly. Their proposed tool? Detonating 250 thermonuclear bombs in a continuous chain. This was Project Plowshare. For 2 decades, the United States seriously pursued a sweeping initiative to use the most destructive weapons ever invented as ordinary construction tools. It is a bizarre chapter of the Cold War, where the desire to reshape the planet for human progress pushed civilization terrifyingly close to engineering its own demise. To understand how this happened, you have to look at the psychology of the 1950s. The threat of a Third World War loomed over everything, and society had completely normalized the presence of atomic energy. You could even buy a literal atomic energy lab for kids to play with. Enter Edward Teller. He was a brilliant, eccentric physicist and the primary architect of the hydrogen bomb. Having designed a weapon capable of wiping out humanity, Teller desperately wanted to find a constructive, peaceful application for his creation. His logic was surprisingly straightforward. Humans have relied on chemical explosives for centuries to mine ore and build railroads. Teller argued that thermonuclear bombs offered the exact same service, just with much more enthusiasm and efficiency. There was also a massive political upside. Public anxiety over the arms race was growing. Peaceful engineering gave the United States a perfect excuse to keep detonating and testing their nuclear arsenal, while keeping a strictly civilian smile on their face. The mechanics of nuclear excavation were carefully mapped out. First, engineers drill a shaft into the earth and lower the thermonuclear device. The blast instantly hollows out a massive cavern, flash melting the rock into liquid magma. The ceiling collapses, leaving a massive surface crater while sealing dangerous radioactive debris beneath hardened rock. On paper, it looked like a flawless engineering breakthrough. The math suggested you could move mountains of earth instantly while keeping the deadly fallout entirely contained underground. Armed with this theory, the government began drafting spectacular blueprints. In 1956, Egypt nationalized the vital Suez Canal. Plowshare scientists responded with a proposal to blast an entirely new trade route straight through the Israeli desert. Then came the ultimate prize, the Pan-Atomic Canal. Upgrading the route through Central America required removing over 1.2 billion cubic meters of earth, the equivalent of 500 Great Pyramids. This chart shows the projected costs. Doing that job with traditional shovels and dozers would run about $6 billion, but using nuclear bombs? That slashed the estimate nearly in half to $3.1 billion. Teller knew he needed to prove the concept before blowing a trench through a continent. He proposed a pilot project in Alaska, where a chain of 5 nuclear bombs would carve a brand new commercial harbor in milliseconds. These plans revealed an astonishing level of technological hubris. Planners genuinely believed that raw atomic force could instantly overwrite geographic reality, indifferent to the natural ecosystems standing in the way. Plowshare finally moved from paper to reality in 1961, deep in the New Mexico desert. The first test aimed to detonate a bomb inside a salt deposit to generate clean geothermal electricity. But geology is chaotic. The salt deposit contained far more water than expected. The blast vaporized the water, instantly creating superheated steam that overwhelmed the drill shaft's seal. A highly radioactive cloud erupted directly onto the observing scientists. Teller pushed forward. In 1962, a test in Nevada aimed to prove pure excavation. The bomb displaced 12 million tons of earth, leaving behind a crater 100 meters deep and 400 meters wide. But once again, the calculations were wrong. The bomb was buried too shallow. The blast punched through the surface, launching a massive radioactive cloud into the sky. Contaminated fallout drifted across state lines, and radioactive iodine was soon detected in local milk supplies. The sterile math of the chalkboard could not account for the fractured, unpredictable nature of the Earth. These tests proved that the dream of entirely clean nuclear excavation was an impossible, dangerous fantasy. Had Teller gotten his way in Panama, the results would have been horrific. Hundreds of square kilometers of ancient, dense rainforest would have been obliterated in a fraction of a second. Radioactive isotopes of cesium and strontium would have inevitably caught the wind and washed into the oceans, permanently poisoning marine food chains. The shattered, irradiated Earth would have collapsed under the tropical rains, triggering massive toxic mudslides. The United States would have faced a nightmare scenario: abandon a glowing, mud-choked, useless trench in the middle of Central America, or continue detonating bombs over a poisoned hemisphere just to finish the job. Fortunately, reality set in. By the 1970s, the canal plans were officially scrapped. After 2 decades of funding and dozens of nuclear tests, Project Plowshare was quietly abandoned. Not a single civilian harbor, not a single canal or highway was ever built. Today, the only remnants of the megaproject are empty, irradiated craters and silent concrete markers sitting in the American scrubland. Looking back today, the whole idea sounds completely insane. But in a world teetering on the edge of global annihilation, surrounded by the constant threat of nuclear war, trying to harness the apocalypse to build something positive probably felt like a deeply rational choice. We often measure ancient empires by the colossal monuments they left behind, but perhaps humanity's greatest triumph in the atomic age is the destruction we chose not to unleash.